Welcome to the Zono Sports Show, where you know Zo knows. Now, I must say, Cavs and Warriors prime time on MLK, we gotta watch, right? Of course we do. Now, ratings were definitely all the way up for this game that was last night on a historic holiday, a day that we're supposed to remember to treat each other the right way because that was Dr. King's vision. Now, however, getting back to basketball, the Warriors blew out the Cavs 126-91. Chef Curry even did a little shimmy at half court at halftime when he hit his three at the buzzer. That's the Chef Curry that we're used to seeing. Go ahead and mix up the pot, Chef. Get it hot for this June in the finals when likely you will have to be faced with a rematch against these same Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, the Chef hit 5 threes. He only scored 20 points, but he wanted to let Cleveland and everybody else know that shot's still wet. Don't forget about it. I might only drop 20, but I'm going to hit 5 of these long boys so you know and I know that I'm serious. Now, they needed this, the Warriors did. They lost the last two matchups. It was a psychological warfare, you want to say, because I really think that it's been thought throughout the year, ever since they lost that Game 7 in the NBA Finals and the block by LeBron, as well as the Christmas Day game, that maybe the Cavs have the Warriors' number. But what they did last night by blowing this team out, they let it be known that there's no such thing as them being an obsolete roster or somebody who's second tier compared to this team. The Warriors have been on the Cavs level. The Cavs just rose to their level, and they've added KD. So I'm interested in seeing the future matchups between these two groups because it may get chippy. Speaking of chippy, we'll get to that in just a moment. This was the Cavs 6 road game in 10 days. That's a lot of games in 10 days. Especially being on the road and finishing that off with Golden State. I think the NBA wanted to set this up as such where they would be a tired team and they'd play Golden State, potentially get blown out. But this raises more of the hype, more of the expectations about what we're supposed to see in June. Okay, so I like these two teams going at one another. LeBron came out and said after the game, this ain't no rivalry. He's in denial, okay? LeBron, it's a rivalry, man. If everybody else is saying it's a rivalry and you're not, you're in denial. Now, are you in denial because you don't really want it to be a rivalry? Because you still are afraid that somebody like a Lance Stevenson, who used to be an all-star, might blow in your ear again? That was a rivalry. So how can you say that this is not? LeBron, you're making no sense, sir. Accept it. Accept the challenge. Do you think Magic backed away from Larry Bird calling that a rivalry? Do you think Michael Jordan backed away from the Pistons? So, LeBron, don't back away from the Warriors because, yeah, you may have won 3 championships, but this right here will tell it all, sir. Tell it all. So, I really think that the moment of the night that everybody took away, obviously, LeBron and Draymond, their little scuffle and shuffle. It wasn't really a scuffle and shuffle. It was more LeBron hairline down on the floor, really upset about the hard foul that Draymond did once he tried to steal the ball and strip him at half court. I mean, Draymond was assessed a flagrant 1. That was weaker than skim milk. LeBron, he's the hype king of the year for that. The flop, and I'm glad Draymond talked about him and made fun of him because it was unnecessary. Come on, LeBron. You weigh, what, 250? You're 6'8"? Come on, man. And you call yourself a football player? I play football, and I'm not flopping like that. Pickup game, real game, nothing. So that whole dynamic in itself, the whole Draymond versus LeBron, the protagonist versus the antagonist, the king versus the nutcracker, I really think that rivalry between those two is what makes this what it is. It culminates what it means to be a Warrior versus a Cav versus a Warrior. So stay tuned to the NBA Finals because I want to see these guys play in June. I hope they both make it there. It'd be a good game to watch. In other words, the Clippers, they bust Russ last night and Thunder by 20. The news from that game, though, CP3 hurt his left thumb. Now, no Blake Griffin, no CP3. This could temporarily ruin this Clippers team. They've got a lot of bench pieces. JJ Redick, Jamal Crawford, Austin Rivers. However, when you take out those two, we saw what happened. They were up against the Rockets, and the Rockets came back and knocked them out of the playoffs. I mean, maybe there's just some bad juice in the Clippers cooler? Because why can't this team stay healthy? The Clippers curse, it's real. The past 2 seasons, there's no reason why these guys haven't been able to make it to those Western Conference Finals and compete and shoot for a championship. I mean, they've been talking about for years breaking this team up, but I honestly think if it doesn't happen this year, that team is going to be broken up faster than San Diego could take down their stadium in California. Too soon, too soon. But yeah, the Clippers, they got to do something because not having Chris Paul and not having Blake Griffin, I don't know. This could hurt them in that seeding process here the next few weeks, depending on how long he's out with that sprained thumb. Thumbs are not easy to have. It's sprained. You got to use a thumb. You can't give a good thumbs up. So we'll have to see what happens with the Clippers. Now, I don't particularly talk about hockey all the time, but last night, NHL, a classic game. Washington versus Pittsburgh, Ovechkin versus Crosby. This was hockey's Golden State versus Cleveland. The two top stars in the game going at it with Alexander Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby. I really liked the fact that this was a 7-7 game and it went to OT. The announcer even shouted out, "Oh my gosh, it's a touchdown apiece here in Pittsburgh." So that was pretty neat to see. The Penguins end up winning this game in overtime, but this was clearly the best game on tap last night with that blowout we had on TNT between the Cavs and the Warriors. So keep the game alive, Sid the Kid and Ovechkin. Great game by those two teams. Now, the talk that I've been waiting to get to today for you all, divisional juice. This past weekend, we had a lot go on in NFL football. The Patriots beat the Texans easily in the second half. They struggled there a little bit. The wheels were a little squeaky. It was 14-13 halftime. We thought the Bossweiler had showed up to New England and was ready to ball. But it looks like the Texans stayed in the locker room in the second half because they ended up winning 34-16, did the Patriots. And the hood must have went off at halftime. He takes the hood off. Guys, we're not playing the way we're supposed to be playing. So get out there, execute, do your job. Maybe that's what Bill Belichick said, or maybe the Patriots are just that much better than the Texans. I don't know. I'm making up these fancy ideas about what happened, but when in fact we all know that the Patriots were the ideal pick to be in the AFC Championship game. The Falcons, they beat Seattle in the Dome. Now, that wasn't the last game in the Dome, though. They had a lot of different things that were given out in Atlanta. Newspapers that said farewell to the Dome, I guess, because they assumed the Cowboys would win and the Falcons would have to go to Dallas. But maybe they printed that paper a little too fast. Now, these birds are dirty on offense and defense. They laid a lot of big lickings on Russell Wilson. And he'll have to go home and get coaxed and coddled by Sierra and tell her about the rough time he had in Atlanta against the Dirty Bird Falcons. So I really look forward to seeing what these Falcons can do in the NFC Championship. They made it a few years ago, but they weren't able to make that next step. Now, the Steelers, they beat the Chiefs. That was 18-16. And Chris Boswell, I mean, everybody, how many people are going to pick this guy up for fantasy next year? 6 field goals to kick him all the way to New England. 6 field goals in the cold in Kansas City. Nobody's done that since 1950. So this Chris Boswell guy, good kicker, okay? 6 field goals to get your team to the next round in the playoffs. Give that man a check. Cut him one. And Antonio Brown, chill out with the Facebook Live. That's a no-no. You're going to get your team in trouble, coach in trouble. Somebody's going to say something that shouldn't be said. Facebook Live, keep it out of the locker room, especially during a coach's speech. When he's saying, these a-holes we've spotted them a week and all this. Just keep you guys' conversations private. I understand you're a showstopper, Antonio Brown. You love the nice cleats. You love to dance a little bit. But Facebook Live may not be a great thing for the Steelers organization right now. But congrats to you all. Now, the big game of the weekend. Packers at Cowboys. It kept us on our couches. This was a shootout in Jerry's house. However, a stranger named Aaron Rodgers came in and he took everything and left nothing but 2 scraps of pork chops. Now, the first half, it was rough for the Cowboys. And Green Bay goes up 21-3, and you're wondering, trouble in Dallas. Sleepless just came out. Call undercover Jamie Foxx. Somebody needs to help these Cowboys. However, second half comes around, and they actually look like the Cowboys Dallas did. Dak started to get warmed up, and they scored 18 points in the fourth quarter. Third quarter, they were a little steady, gave up another touchdown, but they scored 18 in the fourth. So I gotta say they showed up somewhat in the second half. Too little, too late. Now, too much time for Aaron Rodgers left on the clock. Of course, he's going to matriculate the ball down the field and put Mason Crosby in position to kick that game winner. Why? Because he's Aaron Rodgers. He's a bad man. He's the Hail Mary King. He's from Green Bay. He's won a Super Bowl. Now, this week off thing for the divisional round, I think it hurts these higher seeds because it's a week that you're off and you're relaxed back and you're watching the playoffs. It's not your first playoff game, so there's no fill out, there's no first round. This team that you're playing, they've already been in a bout. They've already been in a major battle. So when you got to come in and you got a ball, it's a lot different. And I think that the Packers' backs have been against the wall for weeks now, so they've had to win. Every game's been a playoff game. So they were clearly ready to play. Jared Cook made an outstanding catch on the sideline. Aaron Rodgers made a great throw. Now, to all my bandwagon fans out there, ride this saddle into the offseason, bandwagoners. And please understand, these other wagons, they're full. And the Cowboys, they'll be great next year. They've got Dak. They've got Zeke. They've got to send Tony Romo off the pasture to somewhere nice. But this weekend was owned by Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. Congrats to the Packers, I must say. We'll see what they do in Atlanta. Next show, we'll talk about the AFC, NFC Championship perspective from yours truly, Zo Knows. But thank you for watching the Zo Knows Sports Show, where you know Zo Knows.